flashing lights telling me to go. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ridgecrest City Council meeting for June 16th. We are beyond the blueprint and our council doors are open. We would welcome anybody who'd like to speak this evening. Our agenda was adjusted slightly in order to allow for closed session. So we are going to first go ahead and call this meeting to order with our roll call.
Mayor Bruin?
Here.
Ms. Breeden?
Here.
Mr. Heyman?
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Here.
Mr. Blades?
Present.
5 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, first action on the agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda, which includes the closed session. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second.
Mayor Bruin?
Are you doing roll call or are you doing digital?
Oh, you guys have both.
Everyone's present, so it should be digital. Yeah, okay.
5 ayes. Motion carries.
Okay, next item is public comment on the closed session. This is specifically related to the closed session item. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And at this time, we will go ahead and adjourn into closed session, and we'll return at 5:30 p.m. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we got quite a bit handed to us this week, so when we put these agendas out, we put them out early, so we're going to get rolling here real quickly, and I do apologize. We're going to have to move as quickly as we can, so. Ms. Anderson, thank you for being here. We have a group of children that we need to run a proclamation through real quick, and then we'll be right on schedule for you, okay?
Thank you very much. I can take myself off the screen if that helps.
Yeah, we're going to rush through this as quickly as we can. So very quickly, can I go ahead and do I have Lloyd on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring this meeting back out of closed session. First action is report from council. Oh, actually, I got to do it. I got to actually open the session. We're going to open the regular session. If we can ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Peggy, would you like to lead us in the invocation?
Please remain standing. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the ability to serve. We appreciate all of us who have to bear the burden of representing all of us, but that is what we chose to do, and we thank you and appreciate all. We ask that the blessing upon this city, county, and state. Thank you, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next item is the city attorney report from closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lloyd Pilchin, Assistant City Attorney. City Council met in closed session on one item identified on the agenda, existing litigation, Mojave Pistachios versus Indian Wells Valley Water District. No final reportable action was taken. It was a report from council. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to get right on the way with the presentation of proclamations. We have two. If I could ask my fellow council members to join me at the podium real quick, we'll get these. Okay, good evening. It's my pleasure to have the opportunity this evening to recognize our Burroughs High School swim team. And I see many of them here, and I asked for this to be put on the agenda for several things. First, the Burroughs High School swim team was the Desert Sky League champions. Congratulations. And second, before I read this, I want to make sure that I've reiterated to the public and to this community that returning a public pool to this community is a priority for this council, and we certainly hope to have you guys swimming in a community facility in the near future. So let me go ahead and read this proclamation. So the Burroughs High School swim team are the Desert Sky League champions, and whereas the team conquered all obstacles by taking the league victory even when they did not have a home pool, nor were they able to practice in a pool, and whereas the BHS swim team met early in the season 3 days a week to work out together doing cardio and strength training in hopes they could eventually swim, and whereas with only 4 out-of-town swim meets instead of the usual 10, they handily won their competitions in the league events, and whereas 4 members of the team, Adrian, did I say that? Adrian Rendu, Andrew Bowie, Douglas Bowie, and Thomas Bowie went on to represent Burroughs to compete in the CIF Southern Sectional Preliminaries, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the dedication and accomplishments of the BHS swim team, as this is now over 9 seasons in a row as league champions. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, in recognition of this phenomenal accomplishment, do hereby recognize the Burroughs High School swim team for winning the Desert Sky League. We commend all of the BHS swimmers for putting in the hard work to become better athletes and look forward to seeing what can be accomplished in their futures. Thank you. If I could have all of the swim team come on up, if I can have you for a quick photo, we would certainly appreciate it. Thomas, you have been nominated. That means you get to be front and center. These are a bunch of people who would be the 3 of me combined. There you go. Neil's work.
Do we have any back there?
And these hands down. Again, hey guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your patience. I'm sorry. About the time schedule. Okay.
Can I please ask the representatives of Desert Area Resource and Training to come forward to the podium, please? I first want to congratulate you for your 60 years of service to this community. As you walk to the podium, I'm going to read this proclamation. A proclamation of the City of Ridgecrest, California, commemoration of the 60th anniversary of Desert Area Resources and Training. Whereas Desert Area Resources and Training became incorporated as a 501c3 nonprofit organization on June 30th, 1961, and whereas Desert Area Resources and Training has been the premier provider of services for adults and children with intellectual developmental disabilities in Ridgecrest since its inception as a small play group for children with disabilities, founded by the families of those children. And whereas since that time, Desert Area Resources and Training has grown to provide an array of services to children and adults in the Ridgecrest and surrounding communities, impacting hundreds of families in their 60 years of service. And whereas services available for clients include a wide assortment of job opportunities, they also have a large supported living services program that enables persons to live independently by providing simple supports needed to ensure success. And whereas June 30th, 2021, Desert Area Resources and Training celebrates the 60th anniversary of their incorporation and provision of services to the community. Now, therefore, the Ridgecrest City Council does hereby commend and extend congratulations and best wishes to Desert Area Resources and Training in observance of celebration of their 60th anniversary and service to this community. Proclaimed this 16th day of June 2021, signed by all the City Council members. Congratulations.
60 years, you've been there the whole time? Congratulations, guys. Obviously, I've known many of you guys for years, so great job. Switching over there. Congratulations, 60 years is incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's a two-part commission. Okay. Are you doing an introduction for Miss Anderson? No? You weren't given any? Okay. Okay. Congratulations to both of those groups. Dart, 60 years, thank you. And our high school swim team, thank you. Next on our agenda is a presentation from the California Citizen Redistricting Commission. For those of you who have not heard this before, this is called We Draw the Lines. This is post-census opportunities, and we have a guest joining us via WebEx. Ms. Jane Anderson is one of the redistricting commissioners. Jane, are you on the phone? Jane, are you on the WebEx?
Now can you hear me?
I can hear you, and there you are. Thank you for being with us today. So the City Council, at the direction of myself, over the last several months has been coordinating. We coordinated one with the Chamber of Commerce, and this is our opportunity to provide the Redistricting Commission a chance to provide some information to the community in regards to the redistricting process. As you know, every 10 years there's a census, and this is the results of the census, which is they go through the process of looking at our communities of interest and looking at the existing geographical boundaries that exist for our congressional districts. And as you may or may not know, California is losing one congressional district, so there is a process in which they redraw the geographical boundaries. At this point, Ms. Anderson, I apologize. I do not have a biography here to introduce you, but I'll simply say that Jane Anderson, this is her second time joining us. Oh, it's in there? Sorry, I'm going to find it. Anybody who accuses me of being organized is very, very mistaken. Okay. Ms. Anderson, I actually have your bio here now, so let me just go real quickly. Ms. Anderson has been a registered civil and structural engineer in California since 1988. Her experience includes structural failure investigation and repair, earthquake damage evaluation and repair, seismic retrofit design and evaluation, new structure and building design, building code writing and editing, peer design review, litigation preparation, and expert testimony. This is a woman that knows quakes. She served on the board of directors of the Structural Engineers Association of Northern California, chairing the legislative committee, and taught FEMA classes on earthquake preparedness. Ms. Anderson has a master's degree in structural engineering and structural mechanics from Berkeley and a bachelor's in civil engineering from the University of Notre Dame. Early in her career, Ms. Anderson was one of very few women in structural engineering and pushed for diversity and inclusion through her professional and volunteer activities. Ms. Anderson is semi-retired and registered with the Republican Party, and she happens to be a resident of the Eastern Kern area, the Eastern Sierra area. If I remember correctly, you're in Lone Pine. Is that correct, Ms. Anderson?
No, unfortunately not. I'd like to be over in that area. I do have cousins who live in Amador County, and that's unfortunately as close as I get to your area.
But this is we have asked her, Ms. Anderson, on more than a few occasions. Specifically, she understands earthquakes and understands the unique area of the Ridgecrest community, and we thank her for being here. And I will turn over to you for an opportunity to give us some insight on the redistricting commission.
Great, thank you so very much, and I really appreciate it's a privilege to be here presenting with you today. It's as a member of the state commission, it's really an honor to be invited into your community. And I know you're also a bit short on time, so my presentation usually talks about what the commission is, what we do, and how you get involved in the process. I'm going to kind of quickly go through the first part and get more into how you get involved in the process, what the rules are, and then to leave more time for questions and answers. So if that's okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and put up some slides. Give me 1 second here. And now, can you see this slide, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. Okay. So it's on our website, which is wedrawthelinesca.org. Any information that you need the clarification of what the phone number was, what the website is, please go to this website. And I have to say, reminder, no public input will be taken today. This is for informational only. And we are now beginning the process of actually going out to the community and starting public input meetings, collecting specifically communities of interest, which I will elaborate more on in the next slide. So quickly, redistricting is drawing the new boundaries. And we do, as Mayor Bruin said, we do the congressional district, we do the state assemblies and Senate, as well as the Board of Equalization. And it does occur every 10 years after the census. Now, why do we redraw these maps? And we often get comments, people say, I like my district just the way it is, whichever, if it's assembly. And that's very nice, but populations change. Our numbers are bigger, and that's why almost every single district gets redrawn. It's just a fact of life. People move, they die, there are different numbers. So basically, all your districts will be changed a little bit. How does it affect you? Which is why, essentially, do we want to do this? Why do you care? Because we live in a democracy. And democracies are based on the function of we don't all go into every meeting and vote on everything. We elect representatives. And this redistricting process gives you an opportunity to select your representatives. Now, you also have other types of redistricting matters that are going on at the same time. We are talking about at the state level. We're doing the congressional, state senate, state assembly, and board of equalizations. The counties, they do their own process. And so there could be redistricting you'll hear about at the county level, possibly the city level, school districts, even other water districts, sometimes redistrict. So there's a lot going on at the same time. We're hoping to smooth that and get it as easy to understand as possible. Now, what do? We're not just in charge of drawing the lines. We're actually supposed to draw these lines with community input. So we are charged with reaching out to the community and trying to get as many people as we can involved and knowledgeable of the process so they can participate. And we also then go into the community and collect community input, and we hear public testimony. And these are as I mentioned, I'm kind of skipping through this so we can come back to anything if you'd like more information about them. But it looks, this is an older map. It says, oh, Congress about 53. We know now that we'll have 52. State 40 districts, Assembly 80 districts, and there are 4 Board of Equalization districts. Now, this is very important. What criteria do we use to draw the maps? Do we just pick out whatever we want? No, we do not. It's very specific, and we have to follow these criteria and in this order when we draw the maps. Number 1 is equal population. The districts must be roughly of equal population to comply with the Constitution, U.S. Constitution. Number 2, the Voting Rights Act. The district must comply with the Voting Rights Act to ensure that minorities have a fair opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. Number 3 is contiguity, and the districts have to be drawn contiguously so that all parts of the district are connected to each other. Now, that sounds kind of silly. There are other states where that's actually not true. You can have different areas which will be miles away, which are considered parts of the same district. The only one exception is obviously islands, which they are connected to the closest landmass, basically. Number 4 is communities of interest. And this is extremely important to every person in California. Is the districts must minimize the division of cities, counties, neighborhoods, and communities of interest to the extent possible. Now, please note that there's no hierarchy here. Keeping a city together, keeping a county together, keeping a neighborhood together, keeping a community of interest together, all have the same ranking in priority. And number 5 is the district should be geographically compact. And this, unfortunately, causes lots of confusion because there's a misunderstanding what that actually means. Because the word compact has an English definition. And it also has a very strict definition in redistricting terms. So I'm just going to quickly say that basically it's once you have complied with 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you still need to add more people in, this is where, where do you get them from? And you try to get the nearest areas of population, and those areas cannot be bypassed for more distant populations. And we have, it says referring to density, not shape. It's not actual people per square mile. It's actually the locations of population. So then finally, nesting criteria. Where applicable, each Senate district should be comprised of 2 complete and adjacent assembly districts. Board of Equalization districts should be comprised of 10 complete and adjacent Senate districts. Now, in addition, and this is very important, the place of residence of any incumbent or political candidate may not be considered in the creation of a map. And districts may not be drawn for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against any incumbent, political candidate, or political party. Now, communities of interest. There's a question of what are communities of interest? And a community of interest is a concentrated population which shares common social and economic interests that should be included within a single district for purposes of its effective and fair representation. Some examples include culture, an area which people live, have similar working standards, living standards, same transportation modes, or actually transportation areas. They have similar work opportunities, similar work jobs, or have access to the same media. And now usually people belong to multiple communities of interest. So you may submit multiple communities of interest. You're not ever just limited to one. And now communities of interest they're not the same thing as a district, but they're building blocks of districts, such as just as cities, just as counties, and neighborhoods these are building blocks. And there are different ways to describe your community. How do you define it? How can you describe it? Some ways are actually geographic, such as waterways, rural areas, urban areas, mountains. Others are the boundaries. What are your city, your town, your streets, your school areas? But they're always what you have in common. How do you describe this? What do you do? Well, you can create maps and tell us about them. And how do you come up with what is a community? What do I say? Your actual oral testimony is very powerful. What do you think it is? What's the historical context of it? Written testimony that actually talks about your district. And very powerful are community interests, community issues. This is sometimes you think, well, that's not what my representative is interested in. But if this is something important to you, then put it in, because that's what your representatives need to hear. And the boundary maps, create a map of your neighborhood or area. Now, to participate in the process, you can actually describe your community, and you can draw it on a map. And you can actually send this directly to the commission. There are many ways to do this. One is, which is different than in 2010, when the previous commission did this, we actually have a specific tool which the statewide database has created for us, which you can locate at drawmycacommunity.org. The link to this is also available through our website. So you don't, as I said, sometimes trying to write down all these email email addresses is very, very tough. So, but what that is a process which walks you through step by step how to fill in your information, what is your community, and draw it on a map. Now, if you have trouble, you're really good at writing it down, and you really have you know what you want to say, but you're not good at drawing it, you can also just, type in your area, and you can just draw you can pull out a long little box in it, and we'll try to help you through that. Or if you have any confusion or have any questions on that, there are help, and there's tutorials on this website. You can also, don't forget, you can send the testimony directly to the commission. If you don't want to draw a map, you can call us, you can email us, or you can go to this website and draw it for yourself. It'll be automatically submitted to us. And you can also then go to some public input meetings, which we're starting to have now across the state. An issue that's often come up is, what's the timeline of all this? And as your mayor said, there's some pre-census data and the post-census data. What we're doing here, this is sort of tricky, but because our census data is very delayed this year, which I think everyone knows. So what's happening right now, and we're in the process of kind of actually winding up, is the commission has been doing these education presentations, which is the California Redistricting Basics, which is what I'm showing to you. And we're sort of wrapping these up now because we're starting to move into a phase of public input meetings. And notice we have COI up there. If you'll also notice, the timeline in here goes from June to October. This is both pre-census and post-census. And it says September 30th is the census data is expected to the state. That is the official date that we'll get the full regular, it's called the PL 94, that we usually get from the Census Bureau. Now, the issue is this creates a problem because in terms of how it all fits with once we draw the lines, then you have to be able to vote. And as you see, if I walk you through this timeline, we have the census data gets here on September 30th. Now, the statewide database has to modify this before we can actually use it. It comes to the commission. And that is to include prisoner reallocation. Because the prisoners, we have a population of prisoners who are lumped into one location, but they don't vote there. So they actually have to be redistributed to their voting locations for the process of redistricting. It doesn't affect any of the monetary value that comes to communities at all. That's already been taken care of. It's literally about the voting. So then we start this process. So in November to December, we'll have the public input meetings with line drawing sessions, all on our website, all live. And then it says the district maps will be released. And it goes into, we have public input meetings in January, final district maps possibly be released in February, and it's all down in the end of February. This causes real problems with the election boards. And we are trying to move this up the best we can to accommodate that. Additionally, the state of Ohio sued the Census Bureau saying this is too late, we can't redistrict now, what are we going to do? And the Census Bureau has been working diligently to give what's called legacy data, which is the same information as the usual form, the PL 94, but it's in a little different format, and they're trying to get that out early. Not all states can then use that. California can, because we have the statewide database who works on these issues. And that might come out by August 16, which can move everything up. It'll take a week for the statewide database to work with that, to get it to a point where then they can start the prisoner reallocation, which takes about a month. So this could all move up, and as soon as we actually know that, this will go on our website. We'll be telling everybody about this, what the new dates are. Let's see the timeline. Again, now this is a reminder, no public input. I can't take, this is my community of interest right now. I cannot listen to that. But at this point, I'm going to do your public input. These are the ways you can give them. And here, I'm going to leave this slide up for a while if we want to break for questions at this point. I'm trying to kind of move that right along. I don't know if that was pretty fast enough.
Ms. Anderson, you have time. We got through the biggest thing was making sure that our high school students got out before it got too late. So you still have plenty of time if there's anything else you'd like to cover, or I certainly can open it to questions.
In terms of slides, I don't actually have more slides for you. And I'd be happy to discuss more about, what the communities of interest are, any issues about that. So I think unless there are other questions you'd like to see go back on something, I could stop sharing the screen, or whatever would works best for you.
Well, I think keeping that up certainly doesn't hurt to let people see all the ways they can contact and get involved in the communities of interest mapping. We asked for this to come forward so that our community could be engaged and aware of the process. Redistricting is important to our community, especially, and to rural communities across the state. Why don't I go left to right, starting with Mr. Blaze, and see if there's any questions for Ms. Anderson
I do have one thing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have one thing I would like to say is, as I mentioned before, that the commission is actually kind of wrapping up its educational presentations right now and moving into the phase of, having public input meetings. And I have the dates of the meetings that are sort of zone. We've sort of broken up the state into zones. It has nothing to do with where the lines will be drawn, but it's just for kind of helping group for presentations. Like, you don't have to wait behind everybody in line. This is kind of a more like for your area. And since Ridgecrest is in Kern County, but it's very, very close to Inyo and I'm blanking right here.
San Bernardino.
Yes, San Bernardino. Thank you. I have the dates for all of those zones because they're in slightly different zones, which you might have noticed if you go to our website. We actually have a couple of different zones. Now we have listed on our website, which is again wedrawthelines.ca.org. If you go to the meetings tab and drop that down, it actually will list all our upcoming meetings, and it will list it by also zone for input. And the public input meetings are the ones to really pay attention to. You're more than welcome to watch any of our full meetings, but those input meetings are ones where you can actually come and present to the commission. Now, this is, again, not the only way you can present to the commission. So, which unfortunately, last time, 10 years ago, it was. So everyone had to come to the meetings, and this is different. You do not have to come to these meetings to give us your input. You can go to, which I have on the screen here, that community of interest mapping tool, and you can put all this information in. So if we're saying, come online and wait and avoid the line, that's what we're trying to do here. But you can certainly come in person. And I just might read off, Ridgecrest in Kern County is technically in Zone F, which we call Zone F, which includes most of the Central Valley counties. But the two dates of that are July 12 and then again August 4th. Again, that's July 12 and August 4th. Each of the communities, the zones kind of in your area, both have two presentation time slots. Inyo County is part of Zone G. It will have its meeting on July 20th and then later in August. I don't have the date of that yet. And then Zone I, which includes San Bernardino County, it has a meeting coming right up, which is June 24th. And then its other one is July 31st. Now, if you want to just add your community of interest at the San Bernardino, Zone I, you may do so. And we're also, at this point, you can sign up for appointments. Gives you a bit of a time block. And that is all on our website. Details of how to do this. And the June 24th meeting is already up. And you can, 14 days ahead of time, the availability of the ability to register for an appointment goes on the website. And there will be more questions about that. We are going to get, as the commission, send that information out, and you will, the city of Ridgecrest will get this announcement because you are, as one of our recipients of having a presentation, you get on all our mailing lists, so for good or for bad. So I just want to make sure I said that first, and please go ahead with any questions then.
Do you usually have a large response back Have you worked this before?
I'm sorry, have I worked which before?
Have you worked on this commission before?
Oh, no. This is the 2020 Commission is only the second time in California history that there is an independent redistricting commission. The 2010 Commission did this job the very first time in 2010. The Voters First Act was passed in 2008, which established independent redistricting commissions. And the commission consists of 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats, and 4 of the other parties. Turns out that all 4 are no party preference, but they could be the Green Party, it could be any of the other parties. And then, without regard to politics, we reach out to everybody, as many people as possible, and get the information from the communities and use that as well as the census data to then draw the new districts for the next 10 years. So we had a first commission panel, and then we are the second commission panel. But no one has, there is an issue, could you do that again? No one has opted to try to do that. And it's a 10-year commitment, so I don't think many people will try to do that.
My only other question, because I have a few, but I feel like everybody else will capture them. The other one was when we're asking the public for input, what is the best way they can be successful, especially when we're talking about these communities of interest?
Well, I actually, there are the communities of interest. And one of the easiest ways, quite frankly, is to use the community of interest mapping tool, because you can register on that or not. Now, again, I must say, to present at one of the input meetings or to provide public input, you do not have to give your information. You can do this anonymously. But if you do register with the Draw My Community, then you can modify, you can save it and come back to it. Like say you're not quite sure what you want to do. And the one thing that you want to do is, some questions to answer, I guess, would be, one, what is the actual location of the community? But who is it? What brings you together? What's important to this community? And also, why, because for Kern County is population over, it's not just a little under 1 million people. And once the assembly districts, now the numbers aren't, we're still using the roughly 500,000 in an assembly district. It'll be less than that. But since the census data isn't actually out, we're not saying a total number, because as soon as you say a number, then you're stuck with it. But so once a county is larger than 500,000, it has to be divided. It can't not be kept whole. Cities are the same way. If any city is bigger than 500,000, it has to be at least in 2 assembly districts. So, and also you'll notice certain areas, like say Inyo, the county is big enough to have 1 district. So they have to join other counties, other areas. And so one of the important questions is, what areas do you want to be in a district with or not, and why? And this really comes up when you're talking about watersheds, transportation routes, where you work, where you live, if they're different. These are very important issues to put on a community of interest map, to submit to us, because the commission gets, we know what the county boundaries are. We know what the city boundaries are. But if any of your communities of interest cross those lines, we have no idea unless you tell us. And yeah, that's sort of, school districts, anything like that, that is very important to you. Also, what is important is if you really advocated, like say you really like your districts the way they are, and there was an issue with why a line was in one particular area and not somewhere else, because it was like to keep another community whole, but that may not be obvious. That is extremely important to bring to the commission. Does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, this is Solomon. So this redistricting counts for upcoming 2022 elections, correct?
Yes, it will.
Okay. What if the commission, I mean, you told us 14 commissioners on this. So what if the commission cannot agree on the final redistricting map? What will happen if a situation like that arises?
Then it does go to the courts.
Wow.
So it does not go back to the legislature. It would go to the court if we don't. But we're all. It's very nice. It's a group that really puts politics aside, and we're really trying to work together to listen to all the people who come before us. And it doesn't matter, liberal, conservative. If you want to keep your community together, you have just as much right as anyone else to keep their community together. And so we're hoping to gather a variety of communities, and we're hoping that's why we're reaching out to, a lot of people. It's people, in terms of, I haven't reached out to everybody. We're trying, and please spread this information to all your friends and neighbors, because communicate with the commission. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not going to comment. I've obviously been talking about this for a few months. So. Mr. Amon?
I just have one question. How often do they plan on doing the redistrict process?
I'm sorry.
How often?
Could you speak up?
How often is the redistricting process planned to occur? I mean, is it every so many years, or is it based off the census?
Oh, it's every 10 years based on the census. That's why it's extremely important. You do this, and what happens now is that's the way it is for 10 years. So, and that's why also it's like, well, wait a minute, things are going to change. Now I wanted to change it again, or, well, I'm just fine with the way it was 10 years ago. And you think how populations have changed in 10 years. And even if numbers kind of, don't go up that much, it's relocation. And those things really, they change where the lines go. But it is once every 10 years after the census.
Okay.
I don't have any, thank you.
Okay, so the one thing I was going to mention is we've been working with some of our local groups as well, our local advocacy groups, our local groups that work to benefit this community. And I know they're working on defining some template things to help share, help provide you some guidance on what you might consider as communities of interest, whether you're part of the base, whether you're part of the community. But those groups are working on that independently of the council. And at the end of the day, Ms. Anderson, I don't have any other questions, but I just want to thank you for giving us 30 minutes of your time and for bringing this education to our community, because that's the best way for us to take control of the situation and to help let you know what our community is and why it's important to us.
Well, I thank you very much. I really appreciate the invitation, and unfortunately, I'd love to be there and see the city of Ridgecrest, because I'd really, the whole area I find very, very, very interesting, and I really appreciate you calling, because you do have particular, it's a high desert. It's a different than the rest of Kern County. I totally understand why you have a unique community, and I appreciate the. I'll stop sharing now. I appreciate the time that you allowed to me, and if you have any other questions, please submit them. We're happy to clarify anything. And as I said, I hope to see a few of the groups at one of the public input presentations, or submit them directly. And thank you very much for your time, and good luck with the rest of your agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson, and thank you once again.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on our agenda this evening is the annual report from the Measure L and Measure V committees, or I guess it's not just the Measure V committee. And I believe it's John Paul.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Thank
Mayor
you.
and City Council members, thanks for giving me an opportunity. I was hoping the full Measure V committee would be here, but I don't see them. But thanks to Justin and Travis for being here to back me up on any questions that we may have. Do we have the slides that I sent? Oh, there we go. Thank you very much. So I'd like to just give you an overview of what the committee has been up to for the last 6 months. If you go to the next slide, please. What the Measure V is just the money that comes in through the Measure V tax, how the money has been spent. So how the money has been appropriated and how the money has been spent by the Public Works and the Public Safety departments. Going on to the next. Down. Okay. So the money that comes in through the Measure V is just deposited into a general fund, but then they set up 2 tracking accounts so that they can track how the money is spent for the Public Works and the Public Safety. Both the departments' salaries are covered by this fund, plus some equipment for public safety and some other materials and services. Services include contracts that are given out for engineering services, the road reconstruction, or other kinds of things. So what I've done is I've broken this up into what our general findings are, just an executive summary, which is what we call the bluff, bottom line up front, and then look at individually what the Public Safety Department has done and the Public Works Department has done. So our job as the Citizens Oversight Committee was to review what the budget was, meet with the Financial Department, have meetings with the Public Safety and Public Works groups, and gather all the data, identify the challenges that they were facing, identify the benefits that the city has received from the Measure V funds expenditures, and then provide a final conclusion and some set of recommendations for next year that can be used both by the City Council and the departments to maybe provide some efficiencies in how the funds can be executed. The committee members, I've shown a list of there, so I'm not going to read through the names, but I did want to point out that Mr. West has not attended the last several meetings, and so my recommendation is that we would need to nominate another person to take his place. Whose candidate is that? So we started off by pulling together a schedule so we could stay on track. I divided the tasking, and you'll see the color reviews, and we use color reviews at work, so I thought it was a good approach. The red review is a 65% report that gives us a chance to collect initial data, put it all into a report, and let the committee review it along with the Public Safety and the Public Works. And then based on the comments that we received, we added more information. We got to a 95%, which is what we call the gold review. That is pretty much the final document, and then we send it out to the committee and reps from the Public Safety and the Public Works. And based on the comments we got back, we came to a 100% final report, which is what we call the white glove report. And we did one final scrub, and then we delivered that report to the city. And the brief that I'm giving you is based on the report, and so it's just a summary of the findings and what we recommend. The executive summary is 2 slides. Total tax revenue of about $14 million, includes sales tax of $8 million. You'll see the Measure L. So we had a few funds that came in for the Measure L that were not expected. So what the state is doing is whatever money was coming in for the Measure L, they kind of give it out, they send it to the city. And so we had a few $1,000s of Measure L funding that came in, and that was included in the total funds that was accounted for. So out of the sales tax of the $8 million, the Measure LV portion was about $4.5 million. And then the pie chart shows you what it is. So we had a huge, quite a bit of carryover from FY19. So we had $2.83 million that came over into this year's budget. I mean, we didn't do quite well in spending all of the money, so we actually have a carryover of $4.3 million, which is good and bad. Good in the sense that they do have expenditures that they haven't executed this year, so they are already looking at getting the funds expended for the next year. So they have some good items that they have on the list that are going to benefit the city. The next slide shows you a cumulative expenditures over the last several years. You kind of see that our funds are increasing, our expenditures are increasing. You look at the last two bars, which is FY19 and FY20. We didn't spend as much as we did in 2018. And the challenges we faced were the COVID-19 challenge and the two earthquakes that we had in July of 2019 were the primary reasons that we didn't spend all of the money that was planned for. Total cumulative expenses, you see that the city has benefited quite a bit from 2013 to 20, total revenue of $21 million. Is quite a bit of money that is helping both the public safety and the public works. So it is good that the money is there. Otherwise, some of the maintenance on the streets and some of the public safety requirements would not have been met. So we move on to the general findings. This slide shows what the budget was for this year and the actual amounts spent. So one of the things that we looked at was a street maintenance study of 2017. They recommended to set aside $5 million for the first 3 years, and then about $2 million for the next 4 to 15 years. The goal was to achieve a PCI level of 65.4. So if you look at the historical values of the PCI, in 2011, our roads were pretty bad. 23.5 is really very poor at that point. In 2015, the Public Works Department worked very hard to bring that up to about 55, which is not bad. Put us at a fair and good level. But then by 2020, we were able to achieve a PCI level of 63, and Travis is expecting to get that up to 65 by next year. So that's pretty good improvement on the roads for the city. As we see the growth, since I work with the base, we're expecting a lot of growth, and we're trying to get people to come into Ridgecrest. And when they take a trip out here to see what the city is like, we do want to present them, give them a good impression of what the city looks like and the roads that they're going to be on every single day. So what Travis and the Public Works Department has been doing has been pretty good to bring those PCI levels up to 65 this year. So moving on to public safety, the Measure V funds provided primarily the salaries for the police department. They funded 1 police sergeant, 12 officers, 2 record clerks, 1 dispatcher, and 1 code enforcement officer. Also paid for their fringe benefits. Any overtime that was expended also included a uniform allowance, and they paid for their medical and physicals. Next slide is a summary of what the expenses were. The OPD total expense was about $5.68 million. Of that, 30% was provided by Measure V and L, and so you can see that a lot of the funding came from the Measure V stuff. So you see the benefits that the city is reaping from these expenditures. You see the crime statistics and the call statistics compared between 2017, 18, and 20. There's a 14.3 reduction in total crimes in the last fiscal year. So that is a significant benefit that the city is seeing from the use of these funds.
Going on to the public works, primarily covered some salaries, but majority of the work is maintenance, purchases, and contract services for the public works department. It's divided into the engineering expenditures and the street expenditures. So you see how the money was divided between the salaries, the services, and we purchased one CAD license that was about $21K. And then on the street expenditures, mostly the slurry and making sure the streets are repaired, potholes are filled up, and vehicle maintenance services. See some good pictures of the slurry tank that was purchased and the sweeper that was purchased to keep our city streets clean. And you can see the comparison there. I just wanted to blow up the PCI values that are recommended by the state. We're at 63 right now, which is at the very good, between good and very good, but we'll be at 65 in 2021. Also shows that we did about 5 miles of slurry on the Ridgecrest streets. So in conclusion, so we were able to meet with the different departments. The committee members, what we did was we divided them into 2 groups, or 3 groups actually. One group worked with the public works, second group worked with the public safety, and one group met with the city finance department to gather the information. We actually reviewed the city's comprehensive the annual financial report. That was a very exhaustive report. We looked through the data, and then so we were very, very happy with the cooperation we received from all of the 3 departments. So they provided us the information that we needed to put this report together. We found that the expenditures were aligned with what the planned budget was, although we were a little bit less on what we needed to spend. The biggest challenges, like I mentioned earlier, were COVID-19 and the earthquakes. But what we also found was, even though we didn't spend all of the money, there is no immediate significant impact. But if that continues, we are going to realize a true impact to the city, the roads, and the public safety. So we have pledges from both the public works and the public safety folks that they're going to ramp up their backlog in the expenditures, catch up with what they wanted to do, and get back on track with spending the budget to the plan. And then a few recommendations that we provided. One of the things we noticed was that there was no schedule or a calendar that gave them a sense of accountability, also to let the city council know what their plan is. So we've recommended that they put together a calendar along with a schedule to brief the city council and provide quarterly updates to them, to you all, to let you see where the money is being spent, and have you hold them accountable for how they're working through their planning. We also recommended that they do some early planning for capital expenditures. I know there's we always tend to hold off some of the expenditure or some of the money, so we have that money available for last minute unknown expenditures, but that's one of the reasons I believe we have that much of a carryover of $4.8 million of carryover. So they're looking at what the capital expenditures are, and I believe public safety has already made commitments to get some capital expenditures taken care of for this year. The other thing we also recommended is prioritizing how they're going to spend the money based on a facilities condition index and then an asset priority index. And so they're looking into how they can better estimate what their funding requirements are and what their plan is going to be for the rest of the year. One issue that came up as to why the money was spent is, we don't have enough people coming in with responses to the RFQs. And so that was one of the reasons, we had a single RFQ that we couldn't do a single source to that vendor, and so we couldn't execute the work for that. So one of the things we recommended is maybe look into cost-plus incentive contracts where, you have a contract, and similar to when the Northridge earthquake happened, the guys who were rebuilding the I-5, the state gave them an incentive of if you complete the bridge, and we'll give you $1 million for every day of early completion. And so if we do some cost-plus incentive contracts, and maybe we'll get more vendors interested in the RFQs that we put out, and we can get the work done quickly. Those are our recommendations, and I also wanted to give an opportunity to Travis or Justin to see if they had any comments on the Measure V report. Do you have anything to add, Travis? Okay. Take any questions from the council if you have any.
We'll go right to left this time, so.
One of the things that I was very surprised to see the carryover was utilized as well as it was. I felt like that maybe you could have given us an update more often during the year. I realize that COVID made it very impossible for you to do that. And I'm hoping that this year we see a better accountability of it. And I'm wondering if there's anything you felt we could have done to help you develop those responsibilities even more fully.
I think the forum like this is what is going to provide that accountability or require that accountability from both Public Works and Public Safety. In our discussions with them, they've already agreed to brief the council on a periodic basis to bring you up to speed on both the issues and the progress that they are making.
Did you feel that there was anything that could have been done more fully on our part?
Probably just asking them for periodic updates. I think a better communication channel. That's why the schedule, I think, will help require that accountability by the city members. When they provide you a schedule of this is our plan to do this, then when you see things not happening, you can call them to accountability based off of the schedule.
Thank you.
So I just want to commend the committee on a good, thorough job on this report, and I really like the layout for the upcoming year on new and having a calendar and keeping up on the day-to-day tasks and keeping us updated. So I agree. I think having maybe a quarterly or update with the council would be a great thing. So good job to everybody.
Will do. Thanks, Mr. Heyman.
Well, I want to echo the appreciation. Staring at numbers and trying to figure out stuff is never fun, but it's part of the commitment that we made with Measure V. I want to go another step between both the committee and also Public Works, and that is that, looking at a list like this where we can actually see the name of the street, the start point, the end point, how much mileage, what are we hoping to accomplish. I can tell you that that's what the public is missing, in my opinion. I don't think, ever since February, when I've been asked about a street, I go to the paving plan, and I try to identify what color and what year is on the plan for that match up. Where a basic grid list that says, these are the streets we're hoping to hit this year, then, and it's tasked for 1Q22, 2Q22, 3Q24, whatever it is. I think that would be a not only good for the public understanding of what roads are being done, but also what roads are upcoming, because everybody wants to know, when is my road coming? Is it, and is it the comprehensive list is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'm a fool, and I'm going to be the first person to say it. So I'll defer. Go ahead, Solomon.
Come on.
I'll be occupied for a minute.
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. Maybe they are both dumb questions. We are flushed with so much of money, 4.5 carryover into this year. and we have another 4.5 or 5 million for this year. And on the other side, we are losing police officers because they are not paid well. So when Measure V can be used for police officers, why are we not able to support that and retain those officers instead of hiring new ones and going through the process of hiring, training them? So maybe it's a dumb question, or maybe it's a finance committee question. So
No, it's a great question, but our part is we made the commitment to the 50-50, and that, I don't know that the public, I'd
Yeah,
love to hear
that-
public input on the 50-50 split.
it's still within the 50-50 split, I think. So
And so is it also hard to commit to employee compensation out of that Measure V if it's has a finite or a sunset, or, whereas, with employees, we have to have a steady revenue flow coming in. And so I like the idea, if we have that money, and how could we use it in relation to the employees? And because that's, to me, one of our primary issues that we have for the city right now is getting our employees back up to a level compensation, package. So, but I guess that would be my concern is, is it a steady enough stream and guaranteed in the future that we could commit, that it, would be a steady pay increase for the employees? But
Oh, yeah. I'm not quite as much of a fool as I thought. I agree with you that there's something there. But the problem, what I'm trying to say is you've got the map for the next several cycles, and I'm saying the paving plan is the next 4 years of time that's been talked about. And it took me a couple minutes to find it, and there's good work here, but it's fall of 2020 is what's listed here. The 5-year plan is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just making it, what's the next quarter? What's the, yeah. I'm saying, make it simple. Tell people, make it clear where, if I live on Kimberly Avenue and I want to know where I'm at on the pecking order, show me where I'm at. And even if you just had a searchable Excel spreadsheet that you put your street name in, where are you at? Because some people may just want to know that, you were repaired in 2012 and we'll see you sometime, 5 years from now. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean that with any sarcasm. I just mean that that's what the public is really asking for is a direct answer to a direct question. Sorry.
my second dumb question. We have, as I said, 4.5 carryover, and this year we got around 5 million. How much of that 5 million have we spent this year?
I'm not going to speak for Captain Dampier, but I'm.
You did a good job.
But I will tell you this. So the council did just award another 1.2 million out of that. That is not reflected in that because there have been no expenditures on it yet for the 2021 Measure V paving project. And then we have a pretty aggressive schedule this year as far as paving. We're going to try to do about 3 million worth of actual hard HMA paving, and then we've got another 600K for a chip seal and a micro paving project, and as well as what city staff is going to slurry this year. So it's going to be quite an aggressive year.
So amount-wise, all the 5 million would be spent this year?
I'm not going to 100% guarantee that all the 5 million is going to spend, but I can tell you this: I think we will more than make up for our backlog that we have on the books right now. So, and like I said, our typical with the public works standard, we've had a paving project, and then you have a year that you prep and you get ready, and we would do a chip sealing project, and then we would do another paving project. So this will be the first time that we've done actual hard paving projects in back-to-back years. And we're trying to be really, really aggressive. We're going to do 23 and 25 and move them up and do them all in 1 year. So,
okay. I think as suggested by the committee, I think you should have some quarterly planning, so that way everybody knows what is going to happen. So do you think that's a possibility?
Yes, so we do it bi-yearly. Our planning stuff has been, as far as like for slurry for less and for things like that, we've got it basically planned out for the next 5 years. Obviously, we're throwing a monkey wrench into that this year because we're going to try to do the 2 paving projects in one cycle. But I actually already have staff tasked on pushing out the paving thing for the next 5 years. So we will have a look at where we are when we get to 2030. Okay. So that's the plan, and our slurry list is pretty extensive. Less ads. We've got a couple that we have to add for our requirements for federally funded jobs to go back in and maintain what we got federally funds for. We did a portion of Down Street, which we needed to maintain, which was a federally funded project. We're going to be doing that second phase of that probably this spring. Or is it spring? No, I'm sorry, this fall. We're in spring. So we have quite a bit planned for this year, let alone we've got a lot of wastewater things that are going on. You'll see us around this year, and we'll, like I said, we can keep you updated and make sure we have a plan. And as things change, I'll make it a personal priority of mine to make sure that we keep the website up to date to make things easier for everybody to understand what we're doing, where we're going to be.
Good. So, as the committee mentioned, there was amount was not spent because we had one source contract. So, is that the general thing which you do, or it's some by mistake that has happened?
So I don't know where you got that.
Bob.
That was that for a police thing, or was that?
That was for, remember the Downs, I think it was a project, the Downs project. We had only one vendor who was interested in doing one of the projects, and we couldn't do a sole source. That was just a matter of not having enough responses. It wasn't a mistake by the public works or anybody.
Yeah, that was a project a couple of years ago where we had used a sole source vendor, and council requested that the staff put it back out to bid again and then come back to council. So it delayed us a year on one of the projects.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, over. For my time. Sorry.
Not your time. I know you are doing a good job. I mean, really appreciate that. So.
Early 19.
It was about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pre-earthquake.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Other than that, I just want to thank the committee for an exceptional report. Very informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent report. All my questions have been answered. I'm going to echo the sentiment. I know what the service that yourself and your committee gives to the community is immense, and I don't think people recognize how much work you do. I've been to a few meetings, and I always sit there because I look and have spent time at work looking at data, and I know how tedious it can be and how time-consuming it is. So I just genuinely appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I just want to say they were very, very diligent. And,
extremely.
If I forgot anything, you better believe I got reminded.
Good.
So it was,
2-3 times in the middle of the night.
They were diligent to make sure we got what they needed, so they did a great job.
So, I'd just like to add, it sounds like, based on what Travis just went over with the aggressive projects that they've got coming up for the upcoming year, that it would behoove the committee to just on like at least a quarterly basis.
Absolutely.
Reach out to Public Works and just request updates to,
Yes.
hey, well, how much have we got going out? When's the next, expenditures? And that would help to keep it kind of abreast through the year, but and fall right in line with your plan that you've got going anyway for it. But
Will do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Okay, next item on the, is that on? Or you turn me down? Oh, I don't sound as loud as normal. Next item on the agenda is public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the city council may not take action on any item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. Public comment section is limited to a total of 1 hour. And each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. We'll begin by public comment from the floor. Is there any public comment?
My name is Mike Neal, and I wasn't here at the last meeting. Didn't get to comment on the roads work. So one thing that I've said before, I'll repeat myself in saying, this is based on my observation of streets close to me that have been slurry sealed, and I believe been slurry sealed for about 3 years or so. I see multiple cracks coming through that slurry topping, and I guess you would expect that. It's not very thick. But of course, you know, when you get an incursion on the surface, then you start getting degradation on the surface. And the last thing that I saw from Public Works was that they were going to do 70% or some odd of the streets in 5 years' time, something along those lines. Well, it appears that we really need to do all the streets in 5 years' time. And I can say that I thoroughly appreciate what I'm seeing, the increased emphasis on the streets work, which is sorely needed in this town for the last 30 years due to previous councils completely neglecting funding any street work whatsoever. And, of course, the problem being one thing is we could have done more street work if we hadn't had this, what was on the chart, at least what was presented to the public. I missed part of this. I didn't see it on the screen that said that over 13 to 20, we only had 36% of the Measure B/LV money spent on public works and 64% going to the police department. Well, that was never what the citizens were promised from the word go, but it almost immediately wasn't the case. And we need to right that if this council wants to do what's right by the citizens who are paying this sales tax, and this public works and the streets work and the streets repair needs to get at least 50%. All the city has really done is transfer general fund spending to the Measure B money, use that to add to the police budgets, and apparently they've been pretty successful since, like I said, the average was 64% to the police department over 7 years' time. I don't find that acceptable. I don't know that a lot of citizens find that acceptable, especially since it's just padded the general fund, and the general fund, if you want to go back and look at it, since the beginning of Measure B, has gone up and up and up. Well, I wonder why that is, because they weren't paying the police department out of it. They were paying it out of Measure V, not spending it on streets.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment from the floor? Seeing none, I believe there's one public comment on the phone. Is that correct? Caller, state your name.
Yes, this is Renee Westolusk. I just have a question regarding street lights that are burnt out. I've been told by Southern California Edison you have to write the number that's attached to the light pole. But if there's like a bunch of lights that seem to be out, I think they're still out. I drove last week between Norma and China Lake Boulevard on Las Flores, and there must have been 4 to 5, maybe 6 street lamps. It was like pitch dark. There was only like one, maybe street lamp that was lit. So do I need to write down the street poles of all those and turn them into Southern California Edison, or is there another way to report these?
Okay, Mr. Reed is joining us to answer that for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update. So I can't remember the name of the program that the city signed up for off the top of my head. I don't know if Councilman Blades can remember the one we talked about in infrastructure.
I appreciate you putting me on the spot, but no, I don't remember.
You're just as good as I am.
Yep.
I want to say it's Measure E, but it's not.
No,
it's
no,
Option E. There
Option
you go.
E.
Option
Yep,
E.
there you go.
So the city has taken part with the Option E program. That's a test program that SCE is putting out, and the reason why a lot of streetlights recently haven't been either replaced, or ones that have been replaced with the same sodium vapor lights, is because in mid-July, they're going to be rolling out with multiple crews, and they're expecting to install LED lights in all of Ridgecrest's 1,400 and change street lights by mid-August.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that explains why all these lights are burnt out. Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. I'll
Not a
just have
problem.
to wait until July. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks for a great question. Any other public input, public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the council before action is taken. The one item on our consent calendar today is the approval of the draft minutes of the Ridgecrest City Council regular meeting dated June 2nd, 2021, and budget workshop dated June 3rd, 2021. Do any members of the council wish to have an item pulled? Does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. And it,
Already. Do you want us to do a roll call or?
Roll call.
roll call?
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Ms. Breeden,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
And for the record, that was due to a technical issue. Next item on the agenda is item number 6. This is a resolution of the City Council for the City of Ridgecrest to levy and collect sewer fees on the general tax rolls for fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Reed.
Good evening, council, yet again. So this year, staff went through and took it upon themselves the burden to figure out the tax roll and who we were going to levy. The rates have not changed as far as last year versus this year, but staff did do a 100% audit. Some of these tasks were verifying tax roll and addresses matched the associated property numbers. So our commercial users are charged by water usage, and we've had some issues in the past because of the data, how the data is received from the water district, which we greatly appreciate, so we can bill off of it, but it just doesn't match with how the county tax roll is. So staff's created pivot tables and all sorts of neat stuff in Excel that's above my head that helps aid us in this. They verified property use types. They assigned respective codes for how the levies are to be applied to each property. They field verified properties. They've got a database that's created for informational storage moving forward, so you can go back by year and look at how things have been levied. So I submitted special assessment packages, and they prepared all levy documents to be submitted to the county. And with that, I can take any questions from council.
Go ahead and start. We'll go left to right. You're up next time. I don't know. Simon?
It said here earlier, Wilden Financial handled this process. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. I could.
Previously, this task was handled by Wilden Financial.
That is correct. Previously, from my knowledge, the last 3 years, it was handled by Wildan Financial.
It was last 2 years.
2 years.
Okay.
Prior to that, it was processed by city staff.
So do we know how much we were paying them, Mr. Strand?
I believe it was around $7,000 or $8,000 a year that we were paying, but we brought it back in-house because we were looking at doing a 100% audit of the system, which hadn't been done in several years.
Okay.
So we do plan on continuing doing it in-house. I think we're going to get a better product.
And this will go into effect from October tax bill, I think, correct?
This will be on the 2022 tax roll, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Questions?
No more.
I do
Thank
not
you.
have any. None. Okay. Any public comment?
Once again, Mike Neal. I was in this chamber when the proposed increase in the sewer fee was put forward back in 2012 and proposed to, I believe, triple in 5 years' time. Now it's maxed out, basically, I think, as high as it could ever have gone. So not to increase, apparently, unless they know we have another Prop 218. The problem is that you seem to be satisfied that it's just going to not increase. Well, if you look at the income into the sewer fund and you look at the expenditures going out of the sewer fund and how much is left over, this ought to go down. To be fair to the citizens of Ridgecrest, there only needs to be enough money in cash in the sewer fund to fund some kind of bond obligation that's going to come on our heads when we finally get ready to build the sewer plant. And then the amount that's coming in needs to be enough to pay the bond issue. As the rate we're going, and I believe if somebody can correct me, I don't have a problem with that, we basically have about $4 million extra coming into the sewer fund every year. Well, okay, 40 years from now, we may need a new sewer plant, have to build a new one. That's going to be $160 million sitting there. We do not need to be extracting that kind of money from our citizens. It's way too much. Now, I know for sure at least 3 of you are planning a sales tax to be added to the one we're already paying in this town, in the highest sales, taxing state in the country, in a city where we just had the charges for our water go up at 150% to the tune of $240 minimum extra on the heads of every average water user, and now you want another sales tax. Well, if you want to have any chance at that, to avoid my fiercest possible opposition, you better think seriously about reducing the sewer fee, because it's not equitable to the citizens. That's all there is to it. I invite the ones of you who care to look at the numbers and see if what I'm saying is wrong, if there's simply not too much excess money going into the sewer fund. Experience as of 2012, which the council had to be called to rights on, says that too much money in a sewer fund invites improper use of the funds in the sewer fund, i.e. little loans that get made for other uses and they don't get paid back, things like that. Okay, it needs to be corrected. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
Mr. Mayor, I can clarify a little bit of Mr. Neal's concern. When the rate study was completed in 2013, he is correct. We are collecting more money, but that additional funds were for 2 reasons. One, to fix our collection system, that is our sewer mains that run within our city limits. And then the second is to collect money to build a new wastewater treatment plant. We are in the process of doing phase 2 of the sewer rehabilitation project this year. And we're also well on our way to hopefully begin building the new plant in the first quarter of 2023. So this funding is going to go towards those projects. I would assume the citizens of Ridgecrest would like to have a functional sewer system. We're in the process of replacing a very antiquated system with these funds. And then to ensure that the ratepayers are not going to be continuing to pay this amount as part of our application for the state revolving fund, we have to do a rate study. And based upon that rate study, we will then, set the fees. They could increase or they could lower, but whatever it will be justified.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest to levy and collect sewer fees on the general tax rolls for fiscal year 2021-2022 as proposed?
Motion to approve.
Oh, I have a caller. I apologize. Did I miss the lights? Yeah. Oh, I apologize. I have a motion.
A second.
And I have a second, but I'm going to allow the public comment because I apologize. I did not see the lights. Caller, can you state your name?
Allow the public comment because I apologize. I did not see the lights. Caller, can you state your name?
Yes, this is Norman Alexander.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, this is Norman Alexander.
Go right ahead, sir.
Hello? Okay. I just had a question on requesting the state, and I didn't make it to the budget workshop. Is there an amount that we're trying to get to? Is there, we need to pay for, the city manager just reviewed 2 things, but is there we're collecting so much this fee to get 40 million, 50 million, 60 million for the plant, and 10 million for the repair. Is that in the budget somewhere? I would have thought, I thought in 2012 there was a dollar amount that was well under what we already have. So just wondering what that number is. Paying for something, I just want to know what I'm buying and what the final amount is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And
Yeah, Mr. Alexander, in the rate study of 2013, the idea to increase the fees was to address our collection system, which we are, and then also to collect funds to help fund the new wastewater treatment facility. The reality is that even at the amount that we are collecting, we are still going to have to absorb some sort of a loan, or take some sort of loan and absorb some sort of debt service that will have to be paid off over an extended period of time. So we will not be collecting more than the new plant by the time the plant is built. And as I stated previously, there will be a rate study as part of the process to build the new plant. To apply for the state revolving fund, there will have to be a rate study that goes along with that.
And I apologize, I did hear that another caller came in. I want to give everyone an equal opportunity. So I believe there is another caller. Caller, state your name.
Chip Holloway.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, City Manager Strange touched on this a little bit. I wanted to echo some of the same concerns that, as someone who was there when we passed this originally, the number that we got on the date we passed the first new fee increase for the collection system was close to $80 million, which was not included. You know, we were not going to get to that number with the rate structure we have in place today. Now, I know we've gone through with cameras and everything and looked at the system. I don't know if that number is now considered higher or lower. The earthquake did damage to our collection system, but it would be naive to lower that fee until we absolutely number for the collection system, because the collection system at the time of the fee increase was greater than the actual cost of the plant. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we've addressed public comment. I do apologize for those two callers for not having it in sequence. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Please vote.
Appears we had another technical issue. We're going to go ahead and go with a roll call vote.
All right, Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a resolution of the City of Ridgecrest City Council to adopt a road project list for fiscal year 2021-2022, which would be partially funded by SB 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017.
Good evening again, Council. So this is our annual report that we send out to the CTC, which gives them a list of projects which we would like to complete in this fiscal year. What it does is it keeps us eligible for the state Senate Bill SB 1 Road Repair Accountability Act 2017. What we're expecting to receive as a fiscal impact this year is around the tune of $564,000. Typically, this goes to reimburse Measure V and helps us with our slurry program. I think some of this year will probably go towards our chip seal projects, and will just help overall improve the road surfaces that we see in our city right now. And with that, we're asking you to adopt our road list, and it's still eligible for funding if it does change, which over the last 3 years, it's changed a little bit here or there. But as I said before, we've got a pretty comprehensive list for what we want to do this year. And you can see I did make one mistake in my report. It says we want to have all this done by spring of 21. it's going to be pretty hard to do all those streets by now, so but it's for next fiscal year. But so anyways, with that, we ask that you pass a resolution to adopt our project list.
At least you didn't give Solomon a chance to catch on.
It's there already.
It's marked already. That's great. This isn't the full list, though, because this doesn't include mill and grind and other like that. This is just.
This is our in-house slurry list.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that I clarified that for anybody who's looking at the agenda. This is not all of them. This is.
And that what it is we only have to show a dollar amount that's going to overcome what our grant would be for, and this is more than over that with cost. So,
fantastic. We'll go right to left. Peggy, any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Scott? I asked mine.
One question, did this go to infrastructure committee before coming here, or?
This is not. This is straight from the 5-year plan.
Okay, it's in the 5-year plan.
So it has already been approved by council. So
Okay,
we took
so
it straight from there.
So
and
this
one other thing I would like to just think about when I was thinking about the Measure V report that Mr. Paul gave, this is partially going to be add to the deficit, or not the deficit, but the carryover that we've had because we've had money that we didn't think we were going to get from this bill. So that adds to the carryover. And like I said, with our aggressive paving season this year, we hope to not have much of a carryover next year.
So this amount is shown as grant or revenue in our budget?
It is shown for, it is accounted for in the budget this year, yes.
Okay, that's good. One correction on the resolution. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth whereas.
I don't even have the resolution.
Funding in fiscal year, it should be 2021, 2022.
Did I miss one on there?
You have listed that the city of Ridgecrest will receive an estimated $563,000, and we're clarifying that's for 21-22.
Yep, I missed those years. Thank you.
Okay. One question here, just for clarification. On the last whereas, you said they have not been touched for the last 30 years. So is that true? I mean, those roads were not touched for 30 years?
For the majority of all of our roads that are local roads, they have not been really done any kind of surface restoration since they were first put in.
Wow.
We have some roads in areas that actually have held up better than newer roads because of the materials of construction back in the day. You've used bigger aggregate, and that have probably not been touched, I'm going to say, for 55, 60 years that are on the list to get slurred.
Wow. Yeah, we definitely need to do something there.
So. And if you can look, our HMA paving program this year and our slurry and things like that are really focused on our local roads this year. There's a couple collectors that are planned in our HMA paving project, but a lot of these are local roads.
Thank you, sir.
And HMA, I'm sorry, I use the term HMA, my engineering brain thinking everybody knows what that is, and HMA is hot mix asphalt. So, sorry, well, it's like the Caltrans acronyms. Sorry, I throw things out like that.
You good? So for the public who may not have seen the agenda, there are 58 separate streets listed in this report. If you want to give it some scope to what he's talking about, that's an impressive list for just a one-year goal.
And that does not include the $600,000 chip seal project or any of the hot mix asphalt streets.
Correct. This is just slurry.
So that's the only small comment I might have is that we didn't, right now the public can't see what streets we're talking about, even though we did.
I apologize. I will make slides in the future.
I'm just, you do a very good job, Travis. You really do.
Yeah,
and we can't say it enough.
We all agree.
But right now we're getting ready to adopt a resolution about some streets that the public
And
can't
the
see.
streets would be good to show the public.
This is listed on the website, though, right?
Yeah,
The agenda
well,
is.
if you pull the agenda down, right, it should have the whole data package. So it's out there. I'm not saying it's not.
When we're celebrating the 58 streets are in the slurry, we like to.
I like giving you.
I will make slides.
Now, if you can do the slides where they're all like able to be read?
Yeah, I'll try that.
That'll
I'll try
help
that
too?
this time.
Okay, just want to make sure that we make that suggestion in there.
All right.
I'm going
That's
to
all I
write
got.
that note on my hand so I don't forget.
Any public comment?
Once again, Mike Neal. I'd like to take this opportunity to give my heartiest congratulations to the Public Works Department and what they're planning on doing, stuff they've gotten done to date. It's been a long time coming to see a large list of streets getting worked on, and especially these third world condition residential roads, some of which I've walked on a regular basis and wonder as to how they're still holding together. The prior comment as to superior materials probably is the only reason. I know for a fact back around 2008 we were told by the then Public Works engineer that they did literally nothing to the roads in this town for at least 10 years prior, and that was back in the day when you could oil them and keep them in better shape. But council saw fit to spend their money on everything else except, and here we are all these years later, and now we're trying to play catch up. So you got a lot of catch up to do and need to continue to be aggressive. And of course, I'm going to give credit to Mrs. Stevens for pushing for the slurry machine so hard against some real basic opposition at first, finally winning the council over to buying the slurry machine. And I hope that maybe we can even consider getting a little more aggressive and look at leasing a slurry machine and getting a few more extra people trained to use it so we can get out there with 2 slurry machines and really get busy and get these crummy streets back to a reasonable condition.
Mr. Neal, just to clarify some of what you're saying, the 2 slurry machines, although staff and I'm sure would love to be able to do that, right now the maintenance and prep work is what takes the longest for us to be able to slurry a road. And until we have touched all of our streets, and our hope is to get on a cycle where every 7 years we can touch other streets again, that is when I think we would see the need of a second slurry machine. But until that time, we just spend so much time prepping roads that 2 slurry machines wouldn't help with the cost of them, and it would be a improper use of citizens' money at this time.
It seemed like I saw on the Measure V, I looked for it a second time, couldn't find it. They've purchased a crack filling machine. Is that correct, or going to?
So we purchased a new crack filling machine, so we will now have 2 crack filling machines, and what that is for is we're bringing on 2 more people this year to help aid with the prep work and with crack filling to try to make prep work not as long. So we will have your normal crack filling machine that you see, and then we will also have a crack filling machine that will work with the prep team as we prep these roads. So that way we should be able to, at least what we're trying to do is we're trying to aid and speed the process up. So that way we can get to the point that we can maybe use the slurry truck for the whole year rather than just sporadically once we have roads prepped.
Right, okay. Sounds like the right step to make.
Thank you, sir. Okay, any other council discussion? Do I have a motion for approval of the resolution of the City Council to adopt a road project list for fiscal year 2021-22?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The lights are on.
I saw the lights were on. I missed the lights again. My apologies.
It's okay.
Do I have a caller? Caller, state your name.
Yes, this is Renee. Hello? Yeah, this is Renee Westerlusk. I have been a strong supporter of Measure L and Measure V, and I would like to see both our local newspapers publish the list of roads that need, resurfacing that you have on this project list, because we need to show the public tangible evidence of what their tax dollars are paying for. I think so much of the time it's lost. People don't see evidence, and I'd like to see some media coverage on this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and we'll make sure to get the list over to them. Okay, any other public comment on the phones? Seeing none, Do I have a motion to approve the resolution of the City of Ridgecrest City Council to adopt a road project list for fiscal year 2021-2022, partially funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017?
So moved.
The motion
Second.
and second. Are we trying this again? It appears not. Okay.
She's giving it a try.
Wait for it.
I can see him.
Roger. Roll call vote? Aye.
Aye. Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is discussion and provide guidance to the city's representative on the board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Mr. Heyman?
Thank you, sir. I don't have any new news to present to you tonight, so.
Any council discussion? Any public comment?
My name is Mark Magianis, and I'd like to thank you all for this opportunity to go ahead and address you guys. I wrote a letter that I'd like to go ahead and read to you guys. It is appalling to me, a citizen of the United States, to witness such atrocities implemented here against its own people, its own citizens. To charge an amount of $2,000 or more per acre foot is not only egregious, but unsustainable to those that are being charged. This is all in the name of water basin replenishment fees. However, this committee has failed to outline how these fees will be used. Millions of gallons of water that once replenished our groundwater has passes our city each year being sent to LA. Yet there has been no consideration of reclaiming a portion of this water for sustaining our own groundwater levels. To impose this ludicrous fee on the largest business here in the valley that provides jobs for more than 700 citizens will have adverse effects on the business and consequently will result in the permanent closure of Cerros Valley Minerals. If this were to occur, not only would the 700 employees be affected, but their families, their children, and the small businesses we all shop at here in town. It will affect the taxes generated yearly. The overall income that helps the city thrive will be no longer. The town of Trona houses not only the SVM workers, but also naval base workers, teachers, children, and a whole community that lives there. And they will cease to exist and be displaced because of these fees that threatens to turn off their water. Historically, Cerros Valley Minerals has been around for over 100 years. This is longer than Trona, Ridgecrest, or even the China Lake Naval Base has ever existed. In fact, Trona was created as a company town that housed employees of SVM and still does to this day. The main water line feeding its inhabitants goes through the plant, and the plant then provides the water to the town. If the main water is to be shut off, the inhabitants of Trona will go without. In 2019, this community suffered a 7.1 magnitude earthquake with minimal damage, yet SVM suffered far greater. Saddens me. We rebuilt SVM. We had to strengthen just in case another earthquake happened. And during that process, we remained open, and we continued to supply jobs while the work was underway. As the whole community banded together wearing shirts stating Ridgecrest Strong and shaken but not stirred, the whole community came together as it affected us all. COVID hit, and still the plant maintained its employment, even though taking a loss each month as buyers dwindled due to shutdowns. SVM has played an integral role in keeping both Ridgecrest and Trona communities alive during these trying times. In the big picture of things, SVM provides many chemicals that we use today, from our detergents we use to wash our clothes, to the windshields we have in our cars, and even the beef that we eat. We also provide much-needed components for ammunition during World War II, and more recently we provide many minerals required to making the glass in which the COVID vaccine is transported in and made in. These fees implemented causing the shutdowns of the company will have devastating consequences not only locally, but perhaps nationally. It is woefully disdainful to think of such impunity acted upon its citizens this council claims to represent, and should be ashamed of even the thought of hurting the citizens in this manner. I implore the council to reconsider or recede in implementing these fees, and consider an alternate course of action, and call upon the whole of the community to come together once again to save the livelihoods of these countless people. These fees leaves us standing on the front lines fighting for our livelihoods, our children, and our families, for our right for the pursuit of happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Once again, my name is Mike Neal. Tonight I identify as a Ridgecrest citizen and a Trona employee. The reason is because I stood side by side with three such gentlemen this afternoon in front of Mr. Heyman's business on Ridgecrest Boulevard in the 115-degree heat and sweated for an hour, of which sweat I still have on me, to demonstrate to you that some people have to sweat for a living and most of the Trona employees have to do so. And they work hard. They work really hard out there. How'd you like to work out in 115-degree heat, gentlemen, ma'am, Mr. Strand? It's not fun. It's not fun just standing out there. Now, there's 20 minutes of stuff I could talk about. The GA has done wrong over the last 3 years, but I'm not going to talk about a whole lot of those. I'm just talk about the lack of showing any sense of caring. I tried to point out to them at their last meeting how many people were going to be thrown out of work because this fee cannot be borne by Searles Valley Mineral. They've already stated that twice at the last meeting with the court reporter recording it basically as sworn testimony. It's going before a court. Yet the GA puts out statements that say, oh, Searles Valley, makes these claims like they're trying to lie. Well, you decide whether they're lying when they say, we can't bear $6 million of extra expense on our books. That seem to make any sense to any of you? I mean, golly gee, that's not a whole lot, is it? Well, no, it is. It's a whole lot. And if this GA could care less about throwing these people out of jobs, I'm not even going to talk about what the young gentleman just mentioned briefly, the effect on the whole economy in this valley. I'm just going to talk about those people that work there who are our friends, who are our neighbors. My longest and best friend in this valley worked in Trona and retired from there. I have worked with I don't know how many people who worked in Trona for Searles Valley or whatever it was called over the years. And yet this council continues to act under the faulty direction of their lawyer that they can't give any direction to the rep. They just let it cut him loose and decide what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, how he wants to vote. Well, surprise, surprise, the water district doesn't function that way. Their lawyer doesn't tell them that. It's real convenient for this council to be told that kind of thing. You stand jointly responsible. You don't just say, oh, Mr. Heyman, go do what you think is best, and then come back like I did today. It didn't tell anything of a 5-hour meeting. It isn't anything to tell anybody tonight. What does that tell you? This is a travesty. It's disgusting. It's the worst thing I've seen in this valley in 40 years. Period. I've seen some surprisingly disgusting things going around here. This is by far the worst. You don't want to tell your rep to cease and desist and call for rescission of this ruling of the GA. Maybe you ought to take him off and find somebody who can think a little clearer and with a little more heart to sit on that GA, because that GA is way out of line. Like I said, the worst I've seen in 40 years. And it's not going to be allowed to continue. I guarantee you don't do that to 700 people, hundreds and hundreds of families, and not end up with a really, really bad, bitter fight on your hands. That's what you want. That's what you're going to get if you keep on this direction. This can be done a whole lot better.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
Marilyn Neal. I hope I can get through this. Today I stood out. I only managed for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but I stood out in front of Mr. Heyman's office with these gentlemen. And I know just that few minutes, it was more than I could bear out there working in that heat. I couldn't have done it. But I came up here tonight because 2 weeks ago today, we lost our precious oldest son to PTSD. From the front lines of a war put forth by governmental entities who believe they can fix the world for everyone. Today I am addressing those like Mr. Heyman and the GSA who care nothing for individual lives and the effect of their decisions on those lives. Rather, Mr. Heyman and the unelected GSA have sided with big government lawyers and those with an agenda. My son's life had great value, just as each and every life affected by the impending closure of Searles Valley Mineral if the fee burden is not rescinded immediately. I was hit the other day with the reality that at least 22 other American families every day are dealing with the unbearable grief of loss as we have dealt with over the last 2 weeks. Many who lose their jobs at a time like this in our country could be pushed to a brink of despair, as was our son in his situation. Why would anyone who says they care about their constituents or their neighbors even slightly entertain a proposal that will decimate this valley? As this decision will do if it's upheld. This mother's heart presses you all to rescind the vote of the GSA concerning Searles Valley and institute a more equitable solution for everyone in the basin. The burden of solutions must be equally borne by all in the valley, not by a few lives that seem expendable to those in power.
Thank you, ma'am, and allow us to extend our condolences to you and your family. Any other public comment? Caller? Caller, state your name.
Good evening. My name's Regina Troglin.
You say your address for me, Regina?
I live out in Trona.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Some of you on this council know who I am, but many of you may not. I'm a resident of Trona, but the majority of my household spends all of its money in Ridgecrest. My partner works in Ridgecrest, and my daughter is learning to ride horses in Ridgecrest. You see, basically have an address in your town doesn't mean that Ridgecrest doesn't matter to me too. Just like in many other households, Trona matters to Ridgecrest residents. I have watched over the last 2 years this council and your representative to the GA in particular make bad call after bad call, which is now costing residents and businesses millions of dollars. That is millions of dollars that could have been going back into our communities. Instead, it's going into the pockets of lawyers and individuals who do not even live here. Mr. Heyman, you should be ashamed of your actions and your votes. When the replenishment fee was discussed last year, you hesitated on voting yes and asked some really great questions, which left many like me hopeful that the travesty I was seeing would stop. But nope, that was all for naught because you voted yes to institute a fee that is neither equitable nor legal in many people's eyes. I was present, of course online due to COVID, all of the meetings discussing this very topic, from the council you're sitting on now to the GA meetings. And your lawyers have told you over and over that you can't instruct Mr. Heyman to vote certain ways. Well, thanks to that, Mr. Heyman's been running amok and voting as he pleases, knowing that this body does not approve of his votes, and that the voters which he is supposed to represent didn't approve of them either. It was stated at some point last year at one of these very meetings that those in dissent against the replenishment fee and other actions by that GA were in the minority. But I can tell you from experience that has never been the case, and anyone still preaching that nonsense should not be holding political offices. Because if you aren't going to pay attention to social media or even bother talking to people on the streets, you don't deserve to be sitting up there. Many of us were paying attention long before those votes, but it was made clear that the GA would be doing as it pleased under Mike Gleason's representation. But that's a whole nother argument since that has to do with the Navy. I would also like to point out to y'all that you keep talking about a community pool while your GA representative is deciding and already making plans for shutting down 2 separate industries. If there isn't enough water in the basin for SVM and Mojave to function without paying insane fees that they clearly can't afford, then why on earth would anyone from this council be posting, planning, or speaking about an endeavor that's not just expensive in terms of operating costs, but also expensive in the natural resource that it would require? Some of you had backtracked online those plans for that pool, but that changed today. You can't put those things in place if industries which support your communities completely go away. SVM might go under, it might not. Only time will tell, and potentially a judge. But I tell you as a resident of Trona that the lack of caring that's been shown this year by representatives of Ridgecrest has been absolutely atrocious. Pretty sure if you were in my shoes, you'd be crying foul. Just imagine being in my place, where every day I log into social media and field questions from your residents and mine about whether or not they're going to have a job tomorrow, or whether or not they'll be able to pay their water bill because the fees keep jumping and they can't keep track anymore. Just think about that for a moment. It's so stressful for the residents, but it's also stressful for those like me who are standing up and saying no. This is exactly what's been happening on social media and around your town, and yet none of you have been paying attention. People are done with your tactics that have been used against them for the last few years. There's a fair and equitable way of stabilizing that basin without putting anyone out of business or deterring growth from either Trona or Ridgecrest. We both rely on each other, and for some reason, the city of Ridgecrest has forgotten. So I am pleading with this council to remember that. Stop allowing individuals who are supposed to represent the interests of your entire town from ruining it for everyone. There's a way to resolve all of the conflicts, but it takes the whole village. And some of the egos I have seen lately need to be left at the door. Yes.
We're at our 5 minutes. Would you?
Yeah, that was actually the end of my comment.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other callers? Caller, state your name.
Yes, this is Renee West of Lusk. I live within Ridgecrest city limits. I want to thank Mr. Heyman for his leadership on the GA. it's a difficult job, and I appreciate what he's doing. My comment has to do with the GA should come up with an alternative solution, such as a solution that I've heard discussed in the past many months ago about the recycled water from a new wastewater treatment plant that could be made, and that water could be made available to Searles Valley Mineral for industrial use only. So I think if the GA could work towards a solution to ameliorate the replenishment fee cost in finding another source of water for Searles Valley Mineral that wouldn't cost as much, that needs to be verbalized and it needs to be discussed. I think, every effort should be made to help Searles Valley Mineral survive financially. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I've got another caller now. Okay, caller, state your name. Caller, state your name.
Ryan Parks.
Okay, can you state your address for me, sir?
It's 84595 9th Street, Trona, California.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Sir, please go ahead.
Yes, it's under my belief that you guys have walked away from the California Groundwater Authority mission statement, where it's the right for the communities, municipals, industries, and agricultural businesses. You voted any way to take out Searles Valley Minerals, Mojave Pistachio, or any business is not only unheartfelt, it's outright disgusting. We not only spend our hard time working in the heat and providing for our families, but our local taxes go to businesses that you represent and bring to the valley. You want to put in a brand new Panda Express? That's good. It helps. It helps establish more work in the valley. But if you kill 700 jobs, who's going to go there and buy orange chicken? I'm not. I do not see how we can go from options 1 through 9 directly to 10 in an industry-killing decision that will wipe out jobs for 700 employees, taking out at least 2,400 infrastructural people, future constituents. And I'm just 100% disgusted with the look that Mr. Heyman has on his face. You can go ahead and hang your head down. But these are the people that you represent that you are turning your backs on. I can make sure, moving forward, that you will lose business. Nobody will support you as a person. And Mr. Mayor, good luck getting reelected. I yield.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We have another caller. Caller, state your name.
Hi, this is Norman Alexander. And I just want to comment on, a lot of this is, first of all, I support Trona and Searles Valley, and hopefully we can get this thing worked out. But I think one of the biggest problems is, and it's a concern, is something that Mr. Neal brought up. There's not good communication, right? I'm a little concerned that, there was a long meeting. There's a lot of important stuff that happened, and Mr. Heyman just didn't have any comment. And the council didn't even say, well, what happened, right? I don't think, as a matter of fact, I know, I've talked to several of you, you support Trona, you support Cyril's Valley, but because there's a lack of communication, it seems like that you don't. And I mean, I don't know how the GA discussion is not at least a 10, 15-minute discussion, a wrapping of what happened, why they voted this way, or what their thoughts were. You've got to communicate better with the community, or you get folks thinking that you just don't care. And I know for some of you, if not all of you, I know I can say for some of you, you do care, and trying to address this problem. And again, it is a hard problem, and I think the courts are going to settle it for us. But again, someone just saying, hey, good luck getting reelected. You're doing a great job, right? The challenge is you aren't communicating to the folks that you care. And especially when a 5-hour meeting, there was a lot of important stuff said, there were things that were passed, and it was just like, we're not going to tell you anything. And even the council's not even asking, hey, what happened? And we just got to fix that, right? And so that's my only comment. Really need to, my old boss used to say, 95% of the world's problems is miscommunication. And that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing here. I support Trona, I support Cyril's Valley. The GA needs to, we have to manage our water. We got to figure out how to do that. And it is a challenge. And so the stuff happens at the GA meeting. There's discussion. There's a lot of input. It's got to come back to the council. When you have a city council meeting, some people don't tune into the GA meetings in the middle of the day, right? They have to work. It's a long meeting. They can't tune in. It'd be great to get a synopsis here at the city council and address these people directly on what your thoughts are. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It does not appear I have any other callers. Do I have any other public comment from the floor? Hearing none. Any other discussion? Nope. Okay, moving on. Item number 9, proposed action to adopt a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council and the Successor Redevelopment Agency adopting the annual budget for fiscal year 2021-2022, establishing appropriations, estimating revenues, and establishing the policies by which the budget may be and shall be amended. Ms. Frise.
Good evening, Council. Tonight we are asking that you adopt the resolution to approve the fiscal year 22 budget. As we discussed in our budget workshop on the 3rd, we recently conducted a community survey to obtain the public's input to be incorporated to the fiscal year 22 budget. In this survey, the community identified 5 main priorities. The first one is maintaining 911 emergency response times, maintaining emergency medical response, continuing city street and pothole repair, maintaining Ridgecrest fire services and keeping both fire stations open, and maintaining programs to improve the local economy and job creation. We have addressed these community priorities in the fiscal year 22 budget. Although the city is striving to repair our local streets and roads, Ridgecrest residents have told us that this is their top priority and they would like us to escalate our continued work on street sweeping and repairing our roads. It is fiscally responsible to escalate maintaining our streets, roads, and potholes now so they do not deteriorate and become more costly to fix in the future. Well-maintained city streets, roads, parks, and recreation centers help protect property values. Programs that retain, attract, and help expand businesses in town are important to creating jobs and a vibrant local economy. The fire department must respond to 2 or more residents at a time almost every day. Due to county actions, without an additional source of local funding, the city may need to close one of the 2 city fire stations, putting lives at risk almost daily. At the budget workshop, we did make some changes to the draft budget. We updated the building and administration fees in Exhibit E. We added $80,000 to the solid waste department for contracting HF&H for consulting services. We added $120,000 of Measure V reserves to the police department to purchase an additional 2 electric vehicles. and we added $100,000 to the IT department for the purpose of City Hall power system fortification, which includes the purchase of a battery backup. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Council discussion will go left to right since Peggy's excused herself. You got anything, Kyle? Well, I want to say at least first, thank you for the two members of the public that stayed. The budget is obviously the keystone document to the future of the next year of our community. And I'm very proud of this budget for several reasons. Number one, it addresses streets in a more aggressive manner than we've addressed in many years. It both is balanced as well as continues to maintain a reserve for our community. And finally, it addresses needs that the city has been working towards getting into this fiscally responsible position. And we've reached it that we can start to do some of the things that we need to do to enhance for both our departments as well as for our public safety. So I'm very proud of this budget. I'm very proud of where we're coming and what we can do in the future. So thank you for participating in this process. It's kind of it's one of those interesting things. This is probably the one thing that really is going to impact the entire community, and there's two citizens here for input. Okay, Mr. Heyman.
I have no further comments.
Ms. Breeden? Okay, any public comment? Is there any public comment on the phone lines?
I just feel like we've talked about it a lot.
I think we had a fantastic budget workshop. I agree.
You asked me if I had anything to say, and I'm just like, man, I don't know how much else we can say about the budget.
That's why I said the one thing is I'm proud of
I don't, yeah. Oof. Sorry, I just had to get that out there before I pop. Thanks.
I'm with you. I'm proud of this, so that's what I wanted to say loud and clear. All right, I'm sorry. Sharice should be proud of this. I'm just proud to be able to stamp it. Because it's our staff that does the work, to be very, very clear. We just get to sit up here and make demands. With no other comment, do I have a motion for approval of the resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council and the Successor Development Agency adopting the annual budget for fiscal year 2021-22, establishing appropriations, estimating revenues, and establishing the policies by which the budget may be and shall be amended?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item. That was, I think, about as fast as I've seen a budget ever pass. So that was great.
Well,
Sure, you did a great
the
job.
budget workshop really did help.
The budget workshop was fantastic.
It really did help. We dug through quite a bit, and Cherie's answered every question everybody ever had. So
The joke I told my wife that night is I walked home singing, and they said after 4 hours of budget, if you're singing, something went right. Next item is item number 10, a resolution and public hearing of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the Consolidated Landscaping and Lighting District, number 20121, review of the preliminary engineer's report, and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 2021-22. I would like to go ahead and begin by opening the public hearing and ask for any public comment. Okay. Next would be any comments from the council.
no comments.
I have none. One more call for public comments, either from the floor or from the phones. Hearing no public comment, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Is there any further discussion at the council level? Mr. Reader, you have any comments?
I just want to say that I did find a couple errors in my calculations for the numbers that were provided in the previous staff report. We changed the budget significantly from how it was done in previous years, just to make it more manageable in how repairs will be done. And I'm confident in what staff has prepared and what I have prepared is accurate and truthful, and is done in a way that I think we can actually try to sustain the landscaping and the lighting and all the stuff that's in there, and it's been done to the best of my ability, as I feel that we should always do for our public. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask them. I've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this thing.
That's why we don't have any questions, is because we can tell there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this thing. And this is the second hearing, which means that we've already had an opportunity to review once through already.
Well, you haven't. This is the first hearing for the report.
This is the first hearing for the report?
Yeah.
I thought it was the second hearing.
I mean, it's only 58 pages.
Well,
We had a lengthy discussion.
oh, we had the discussion with the lighting landscape on the second. That was what it was.
Yeah, during, yeah.
It wasn't a physical.
We talked
public
about the
hearing.
turn, the changing of
We
the.
didn't- It wasn't
of
a
the-
physical public
Mhm,
hearing.
mhm.
Okay. Any other discussion in regards to the report? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the resolution of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the Consolidated Landscaping and Lighting District number 20121, review of the review of the preliminary engineer's report and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 2021-22.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Next item is item number 11. This is another public hearing, and this is in regards to, I'm going to repeat largely what I said before, except we're going to say drainage this time, which is a resolution and public hearing of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the City of Ridgecrest Drainage Benefit Assessment District, number 20161, pursuant to the provisions of the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982, review of the preliminary engineer's report, and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 2021-22. I'll go ahead and begin by opening the public hearing. And I did not give Mr. Reed an appropriate moment last time. Mr. Reed, is there anything you'd like to add prior to public comment?
No, the only thing that's of substantial change in this report this year is we reallocated how we were collecting some of the money, and for the existing drainage sump has seen some washout and some erosion, and so there's a little bit of money that's set up. The levy actually stayed, I think it stayed the same, if I remember right. I don't even think it raised, but it actually went down. It went down $1.10 roughly. But we allocated $1,500 for some slope solidification and weed abatement. Other than that, it's substantially the same and ready for approval.
Is there any public comment in regards to the action? Any public comment on the phones? No comments. Any council comments?
None.
Hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Any final comments? Do I have a motion for approval of the resolution of the public hearing of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, declaring its intent to levy and collect assessments within the City of Ridgecrest Drainage Benefit Assessment District number 2016-1, pursuant to the provisions of the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982, review of the preliminary engineer's report, and authorization to finalize said report for fiscal year 2021-2022.
So move.
Have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
One second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
So, hey, real quick, Travis, is there any errors you want to point out in this?
He did say it was
anything at the last minute we can.
I honestly don't. I had multiple people read this for me, so I hope.
I'm just checking. I don't know if right before we get it. Okay.
Trying to make sure to cover you.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I will read it again just to make sure. But I think it's pretty much good.
It is 2021, just so you know.
Yes. Here's spell check. And I'm going to try to my next time to make my resolution a little longer.
A little bit longer. I'd appreciate that one. I remember Peggy saying something about that years ago. Do I have to read this whole thing? And yes, you do. Okay. Next item is item number 12. This is ordinances. This is the second reading and adoption of ordinance 2106, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, adding section 2-90, electronic filing to Article 4, officers and employees under Chapter 2, administration, to the Ridgecrest Municipal Code, relating to electronic filing of campaign statements and statements of economic interest, the Form 700. My first action, I believe, is for the motion to waive the is discussion first and then public comment. So, any council discussion?
None.
Council, any public comment discussion? Any public comment on the phones? Hearing none. The first, I don't think Rick or Heather, you have anything to add, correct? There's no changes from the previous?
There's no changes.
Okay. So I'm requesting a motion to waive in reading in full ordinance 2106, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, adding section 2-90, electronic filing, to Article 4, officers and employees under Chapter 2, administration, to the Ridgecrest Municipal Code relating to electronic filing of campaign statements and statements of economic interest, Form 400. It's Form 700.
700.
I know, I said it and I caught myself fast enough. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Second, I'd like to request a motion to adopt by title only ordinance 2106, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ridgecrest, California, adding section 2-90, electronic filing, to Article 4, officers and employees under Chapter 2, administration, to the Ridgecrest Municipal Code relating to electronic filing of campaign statements and statements of economic interest, Form 700. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I have a motion and second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Blades?
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Next item is committee reports. Finance, we have not met since last time. We'll be meeting in, I guess it'll be mid-July, right? Yeah, I would say we're third Monday, but it seems like. Yeah, I would say this coming Monday. We'll need to chat after the meeting. No está aquí. Infrastructure.
No, let's see. Infrastructure is next, the 24th, next Thursday.
Okay. Economic development.
Did you meet?
We did not meet.
Quality of life. We reported last time. I'm probably still driving Narissa crazy. Huh? Oh, yeah. I'm sure of that. Vacation? RACVP. They met today, right?
They met today. I'll defer it to Megan.
Okay.
Yep.
Megan?
Turn.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to try and keep this pretty short, just the highlights. So we had 2 months worth of meetings. They did not meet in May. So the June meeting, we discussed billboards. There's a new billboard installed on 395 before the Ridgecrest turnoff. And they've also put a new skin on the shared billboard they share with the Chamber of Commerce on also 395 North. And they switched sides with the Chamber of Commerce, so now they are facing the southbound traffic to try and attract people before that turnoff. So, and I'm going to go through all these right now. If you have any questions, feel free to jump in, or we can go over it at
So
the
the
end.
new billboards are up?
It said that they're either in progress or
Okay.
they're on track.
I was curious to know what they look like.
So they're moving forward with that. Another thing I'm going to highlight is the softball tournaments that occurred 5/22, May 22nd and May 23rd. I'll give you a little bit of numbers. So 16 teams participated in those games. They provided approximately 140 room nights at an average rate of $109. So that added up to $15,260 in gross revenue to area hotels and an additional $1,526 in TOT. According to a Runyon report, with estimates of $2 spent locally for every dollar spent on accommodations, it's estimated an additional $30,520 was infused into the local economy from those events. In addition, additional events have been scheduled for September 25th to 26th and October 23rd to 24th. Another event of interest was the Built Well off-road event. They have confirmed that they are going to be coming back for their second annual event scheduled in April of 2022. The first event took place under COVID restrictions, so the turnout for the second event of next year is expected to be much more without those restrictions. For the Caltrans logo program, they are working on installing a sign on 395. They are pretty sure that their application will be denied, so they are going to push it through an appeals process. Shell is on board as the anchor business, and they will expand to other businesses after that goes through the appeal process. So for the California Welcome Center, everything is tracking well on that. So the rent payments are due starting in July, and we're hoping construction will be on track. And I know they want to do like a groundbreaking ceremony once demo is underway. So I will keep you updated as we get closer to that. And let's see, for the STR report, it was reported occupancy rates are at 50%. So it's relatively consistent with 2019 rates. Obviously, 2020 was kind of a weird year, so that's why Bill looked at the 2019 rates for a comparison. And the ADR, the average daily rate, is expected to increase, so that might have the potential to benefit the hospitality industry with those new rates. The Petroglyph Festival is set to go on in November, the first weekend in November. The location is going to be narrowed down based on the amount of vendor interest, and we hope to announce that by July 15th of 2021, whether it's going to be street, just depending on the amount of vendors that are interested. And I know we have had a lot of interest expressed already for that. The Petroglyph tours on base are going to be closed this year due to all the construction and earthquake recovery stuff that's going on. So they're hopefully going to try and provide alternate locations so people can go out and see these petroglyphs. It's a pretty important part of the festival, obviously, so they're looking into options for maybe providing information for self-guided tours. There might be a retired guide who possibly might be able to take people to Fossil Falls area. It's still up in the air right now. And they are looking for volunteers, so they are initiating outreach efforts. So anybody interested in volunteering with the Petroglyph Festival can get a hold of the RACVB and express their interest. They would really appreciate it. Quick announcement is there's a baseball tournament being held this weekend. So that is going on this weekend. And then quickly to touch on the ARP funding, Carrie requested putting together a potential workshop for the directors and any interested members of the community to sort of brainstorm potential uses for this ARP funding. Obviously, the California Center would be a big aspect in that, but just to kind of get heads thinking about what other possible uses for this funding could benefit them. Did you have any questions for me?
Before any questions, I just wanted to go ahead and state for the record that Councilwoman Breeden has been excused, just for the record to reflect it.
No questions.
I don't have any questions. I've been bugging Carrie too.
Okay.
Carrie and Narissa are on my list of buggers. Okay. Thank you, Megan.
Good job, Megan.
Other committees, boards, or commissions?
Have 3 upcoming. One of them is a BLM roundtable. The other is Kern Cog. The other is League of California Cities.
I'm officially declaring Kyle the meeting man.
I don't know how it happened. I didn't go out searching.
You went to the BLM one. You know what? It was fun, and I will make it, I promise, on a Saturday.
No. You know what? Honestly, when I first got on the council, the only thing I wanted to be on was quality of life.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, for your, so you understand. I did not go out searching for. I did not go out searching for all these. They just fell.
Well, you're the best note taker. We know that, so that's why we continue.
You know what? I do okay. I do okay.
We know that.
But so honestly, that was I was being glib. I was joking around.
I know.
The rest of that conversation is that, we may, because I do have a lot of meetings on, I may ask you, Mr. Mayor, Council, to consider moving some of those meetings, League of California Cities or Kern Cog, off my radar.
Move some around.
Right. I know.
So for a future agenda item, what I'd like, because Councilmember Blades spoke with myself, and I know he also spoke with with Councilwoman Breeden. Under future agenda items, if you could make a report just to Rick of what committees you'd like to see moved around, that we can bring it to the future agenda and reappoint that, or remove people around, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Any other committees, boards, or commissions? I can only just tell you that every other Friday is the California Mayor's Coalition, and that's been really good to get just information, just what are other communities doing, and sometimes it leads to some other discussions that leads to some videos and leads to some conversations. So, City Manager report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a reminder, the IWV EDC will be having a short get-together tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock at the Spring Hill Suite. Dan Carino, the new executive director of the installation, will be speaking. I will not be there tomorrow night. I have another engagement in Wasco regarding a couple city managers that are retiring and leaving. Megan will be going in my place. I do believe she sent out invitations as a reminder to the council, so if you can attend, it might be a good thing.
I'll be there.
I asked Kyle to attend. I'm going to be also out of the area tomorrow.
Correct. Staff has been discussing the ARP funds. There's still a significant amount of information that is coming out from the U.S. Treasury and the state of California. We are anticipating maybe bringing this to council as a workshop sometime towards the end of July or 1st of August, whenever we have enough information to be able to bring back to the council the information so you guys can make some decisions.
Now, if I remember with the conversation about a month ago, you said that they'd probably be here by now. Have we received it?
No. In fact, we do have some information that Cherie is having to submit to the state.
I called it.
Prior to. No, this is more just housekeeping stuff, more of just the DUNS number and just the information that they need, because there's some strings attached. They can't provide funding that's more than, I believe, 75% of your previous year budget. So they have to go through all the certifications in regards to the regulations on the ARP. So we do believe that we should be receiving it sometime in July.
2022?
2022, yes, sir.
Not 2021, sometime 2022?
2021.
I'm just teasing you.
I know.
Because me and Cherie went back and forth. I said, they're going to do something.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is I just want to assure council that the staff is putting in the time and the effort to understand what this funding, what the uses of this funding may be, and then hopefully to come to the council in a workshop with what those parameters are, what some of staff recommendations might be, and then obviously, get input and direction from council.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Future agenda items. I made mention of one. Is there any others? I could have swore I had something that I remembered, but I'm going to let it go for tonight. Mayor and council comments. Kyle?
Sure. I have a few comments to make. So when I first got on the city council, one of the very first things that happened was the city manager sent me to a mayor and brand new council members. I think it's called like a retreat, but it was actually like an instructional week-long course in Sacramento. And during that course, we were instructed, this is what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And one of those things they said you should not do is don't engage on social media in the comments and things like that. So that's something I wanted to correct. I heard tonight at some point from somebody that we don't pay attention or that the city council doesn't care. Especially when we talk about something about like water. It's an infinitely complex topic. It's a topic that goes back to the 20s and the 30s. There's nothing easy about discussing this. And if anybody would like to know why I didn't barrage Mr. Heyman with a bunch of questions tonight and try to pull out of him every detail raw for the public, it's because I don't know if anybody noticed, but it was a 5-hour-long meeting. It was all there, and it is on YouTube. And if it seems like I'm a little annoyed, it's because I am. This topic is, I don't know how many times I've personally reached out on social media and asked people to get a hold of me. Please, call me. I'm saying it now. Give me a phone call, give me a text, get on social media, send me a message. Talk to me personally, meet me out in the city, and we will talk about this because you can't fit into an hour or 2 hours everything that's going on with water in this valley. And the way certain members of the public have treated one of our representatives, Mr. Heyman, it's abhorrent. So the last thing I'm going to do is wait for it to come up on the agenda and again bring it out and start hammering you. So, Mr. Heyman, thank you for your service. If I ever took issue with something you do, as you know, I'd be the first guy to come at you pretty hard. Sure. And I hope everybody will look back. I'm actually the one who asked for this item to be on the agenda every single week because it is important. So that's something that needs to be corrected. We're supposed to just speak for ourselves, but I'm positive everybody on this council cares deeply. There's nobody up here sitting back thinking, man, how can I put somebody out of sorts, right? How can I hurt members of the community? That's not what we do up here. We come up here and volunteer our time because we care. I know they do. We sit in meetings and we argue. Also, we can do what's best for this community. And if people disagree with how we're doing it, that's good. That's part of the process. But have conversations with us. Have a conversation with me. Thank you.
I just want to say I truly, truly appreciate what Public Works Director Mr. Travis Reed does for the city. You have passion for the job. I see that in what you do. Things have started moving fast since you took over. So keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to let you go. Go take the last word tonight.
Very good. So I'm thrilled with where we're at with the budget, and we have a balanced budget. We are moving ahead. We've done a lot of great things that last year when we talked about some of them, we weren't there yet, but we've actually accomplished it. And tonight's been long, so I won't itemize them out. But I commend Sharice and our finance department for another job well done. Public Works, we can't say enough either. The road, as you put it, the aggressive projects that, or however you want to put it, the program you have set forth for yourself this upcoming year is aggressive. And I think overall I've talked to people and they're excited to see the roads done and to get more work done. And so I think it's exciting for the community. So congratulations to everybody. And I know I'm probably leaving people out, but good job to the staff of this city. I don't think people understand how much work goes on in-house and to our city manager. It's probably unappreciated. I know what that feels like. But you guys, but you guys do a fantastic job. And, you know, as a citizen of this town for 38 years, and a council member, I appreciate it. So,
Thank you, sir. Well, let me just start off with a couple quick things. Number one, I echo the thanks to the entire city staff for, you know, what I could argue was a flawless budget process in terms of being able to see it clearly in advance, have good discussions, get feedback, look at things that can be done, and find good solutions for our community. And as I stated, I'm very proud of this budget and proud of what this is a signal of moving forward. When I look at Measure V coming up and they're talking about the amount that we're over, the first thing that I know is in that budget is there's roads in there, and there's a lot of them, and that's exciting. And I said this, you know, I should echo Kyle's comments that thanks to COVID, I didn't get the opportunity to go to the new mayor's conference and be taught about how not to talk on social media. I've decided to do exactly the opposite.
I mean, did you need to?
So once again, I'm the fool sitting up here, but I'm an honest fool, and that's the point. I have no problem saying that I stand behind the rights of the GA to make its decisions, and I stand by the rights of the Water District to make its. And you know, this is an ugly, ugly situation that nobody is happy about. Nobody's dancing on anybody's grave or happy or thrilled about it. But to emotionally come in and just attack people, got to tell you, it lowers the words that you're saying, because we all feel it. There's nobody who doesn't feel it. But there's also decisions and processes that we have an obligation to follow as elected representatives of the city of Ridgecrest. That was the oath we all took up there. And I guarantee you that we all take it just as seriously on this side of the dais that we're fulfilling that. It may not seem that way, and I apologize to those people that are hurt by it. But right now, we're doing a real good job of firing ourselves up again and making our neighbors our enemies, which is never good. And I've said before, this is going to lead to, you know, challenges and hurts, and if we can keep emotions out of it, and remember that this is a process that started in 2014 at the State Management Authority of the state, and we are walking through that process as effectively as we can. We are fixing the wastewater problem. We've got an incredible sense of momentum there that we haven't had in probably a decade. Everyone was sitting here talking about 2012 when we put the fee in, and I'm going, yeah, it took us 10 years to get here, but look at how close we are finally to getting this done and doing it with a minimal tax bond measure. So, yes, your citizenship is going to benefit at time, but we got to get to that finish line first. And I commend Doc Heyman, and I actually want to go ahead and share the words that you know, it is deplorable to put somebody's private or public business as a target for their actions to serve their community. You know, I understand they were very respectful today in terms of time and how long they were out there, and I appreciate anybody who gave them some direction on that. That was good, and it was perfectly peaceful and all those things. But you and I both know that public perception is going to take, you know, one upset person, one bad apple to make this something more than it needs to be, which is right now we are working through a legal process. That's what the GA did. The GA said we have to work through a legal process. And I commend you for having the fortitude to stand up there, because I choose to watch from my office. And for those people that haven't watched the whole thing, go out and watch it. Educate yourself. Read on the process. Don't buy into the first word on social media, because I can tell you it's not always accurate. And I'm the fool that keeps perpetuating it. But don't be overzealous. If you're ever overzealous, it's... And that's the difference, is I'm going to sit up here and be honest and open, and I'm going to own it, because I believe in communicating with my community. And for everybody who saw my parks video and then proceeded to make that into water, you know, I've been told that it's a wonderful idea, but it's not going to work right now. But I'm not giving up on the public-private partnership aspect to see if we can do some other things for our community parks, and so more to come. And with that, I am thoroughly shocked it's only 8:45. And thank you guys for a great evening. And finally, congratulations again to our swim team. I mean, to be able to win the championship with no pool and nowhere to practice. And we're going to find a way to make that happen for them. So thank you. With that, have a great evening.